My encounter with a chronic in Hawaii. Alright, before I dive into one of the scariest experiences in my life, let's settle some background information. It's the summer of 2016, and I just finished my junior year of high school. Anyways, I decided to visit my older brother who was, at the time, living in Hawaii, being the stoner and raving archetype he is. Alright, now with the story. After arriving from the airport and reuniting with my bro, we decided what better to spend summer in Hawaii than hitting the beach and whatnot. After a long day of hanging out around the Waikiki area, it was nighttime and my older brother wanted to burn me out, smoke some good old weed to end off the night. We drive to a nearby Target in the outer Honolulu area, where we would meet the dealer my brother usually picked up from. We waited in this discreet little spot near the parking complex that sat in front of the Target where his dealer would usually meet him. We parked our car in that complex. So, we just waited, money ready, as the night continued on. Me and brother, to pass the time, just had some small talk and went over old memories we had when we were together. It was around 10 p.m. at night. As we chatted, I saw a car pull up further down the empty street from us on the side. My brother's money in hand assured me that it was his dealer. The car eventually pulled up to us, windows tinted and everything. X by 21 Savage blasted from the speakers of their car as they pulled up. I watched as my brother did his magic and walked up to the car window for the exchange. Suddenly, he backs up from the car window with an extremely fearful and bewildered expression on his face. I look up to see this guy, so seeing this was a shock. The passenger side door slides open, and exiting the car was a beefy and large Samoan, akin to your typical NFL lineman. His figure was ginormous. The tank top wearing behemoth had a large, intimidating tribal tattoo stretching down his entire right arm, which the street light poles above us illuminated. You would have believed he was Drax the Destroyer. My brother, backing up from the car, quickly snapped his head at me and told me to go to the car. I stood there, frozen, trying to piece together what in the world was happening. The man demanded the money he owed. I could tell he was under the influence, which made it all the more scarier. His pupils were ginormous. He spoke in a hyper and energetic tone. I could tell that this man was coked out of his mind. Being the stupid young guy I was, I eventually caught sense and tried to de-escalate the situation. I walked up to the pair, and just like that, my face just got punched by a semi-truck of a hand. He uppercutted me and I fell to the ground. Blood streamed from my mouth like an actual river, and my jaw was such in tremendous pain that I couldn't close it for a good 2 days following the encounter. After a couple seconds, I eventually caught sense of what's going on. Looking above, the man faced my brother and demanded his money, or they would have to scrap, which is slang for Hawaii to fight. My brother, who had an average muscular build, agreed and put his hands up to fight him. The man had such a chronic look in his eyes. They were so open, you'd think he was on bath salts. He roared a "Chee-hoo" and charged towards my brother like he was gonna sack a QB. They fought for a good 30 seconds. My brother boxed in his teens and was somehow MMA trained, but his punches didn't seem to have much avail. Every hit my brother landed, the man just grunted and had an expression on his face that translates to "that's it." My brother, despite all his years of training, couldn't affect the man. He was truly a beast, with a physique suitable for D1 football, on a drug-fueled rampage, with the eyes of an actual madman. He eventually switched from a technical stance and charged towards my brother with a barrage of hooks, which made my brother stumble back. My brother quickly gave me a glare and started running towards the car, to which I followed. We sprinted so hard, sweat beamed down my face and my heart was pounded through my chest. Then I looked behind us. The rhino of a man chased after us at full speed. Entering the parking complex, we decided to hide under a car near ours, as we knew the guy would probably recognize our vehicle under the car. I could see the animal looking desperately through the car windows. We waited a while under the car. Blood soaked my shirt, which gave off a really metallic smell. Eventually, the drug dealer's car, who accompanied that animal, pulled up to ours and blocked in front of it, so it couldn't drive forward. We couldn't call the police, as obviously we would be incriminated too. We lay there hopeless, and eventually they gave in and left. The aftermath of this event left me not being able to open my jaw for a good 2 days, and my brother leaving the island for a good 2 months following the event. I hope we or anyone else on the subreddit never meet a diesel. The night of the night. Longtime lurker, first time post on the sub. This is a slightly funny but weird story. Last year, I was living in Hawaii, Oahu. My friend and his wife were expecting their first child and had a baby shower at their place out towards the southwest side of the island. I went to the baby shower with a different buddy and his wife. The shower started at about 3 p.m., filled with all the usual baby shower games. All the guys at the shower, though, we were playing cornhole and drinking, leaving the ladies to the baby shower games. So by the time everything was wrapping up and many drinks were consumed, it was getting dark and people were starting to head out. My buddy and I were pretty buzzed, to be honest, so his wife was our designated driver, DD. We headed out and started to head to the communal parking lot in this housing development. As we were near the parking lot, it's pretty dark out at this point, poorly lit area, we see someone standing in between some bushes. As we got closer, we realized that this person was decked out in some homemade cardboard armor, medieval style, and had a spear as well. As we pass by, we say hello to this random statue person, and making small jokes about what he was wearing. He doesn't say a word and just follows us, staring. Complete silence. We get to the car, laughing a bit, and realize that this statue dude is maybe 10 feet from the car again, just staring. Silent. We get into the car to leave, pull out of the lot, and head towards the exit of this neighborhood. When we get to the exit, we don't see creepy statue dude, but as we turn left to head down the main road, we notice creepy statue dude standing on the side of the road, next to a tree, just staring at us as we pass by and drive away. I don't think this kid, had any ill intentions, but the statue dude was way sure a creep, or he just wanted to be some vigilante watching over us. Anyways, but creepy statue dude, let's not meet ever again. Sketchy beach family. This all happened in July 2004. I was 12 years old at the time, and my parents brought me to Kona, Hawaii, the big island. Needless to say, that was an amazing time, and it's just about the last place you'd expect something creepy to happen. That is, until the second to last night there. My parents and I were tossing around a ball in the ocean when I overthrow my dad and a kid my age catches it. We invite him to join in, and after a while, my parents get tired and go back on the beach while me and him, Jason, stay in playing. A woman that appears to be his mother is walking around taking pictures of us over and over, and when my mom tries to start a conversation with her, the woman completely ignores her. Turns out Jason lives in Los Angeles and is headed back tomorrow just as we are. We're connecting through LAX and thank God we did not share a flight. Once it gets dark, we go back on the beach and don't see Jason's mother anywhere. After searching all over the beach, we head back to the hotel. To clarify, the hotel is directly behind the beach with a pool and bar in between. You can vaguely see the beach through the palm trees, depending on the floor, but certainly not your child. We take Jason up to his room and to see if his mother is there, and he says hello to a man on the way up as if he knows him. My mom asks if the man is his dad, and he says no, as his father ran off 5 months after he was born. We knock on the hotel door several times, and we can hear the TV on inside, but no one answers. We're all hungry and we go down to the lobby and use the phone. He calls up to his room and leaves a message that we're going to the downstairs restaurant to eat. So we have buffalo wings and soda and talk about SpongeBob, Ed, and Eddie. He seems like any other kid. It was a bit strange though, when we were in the ocean and lost one of our floats. He went swimming after it way too far, and my dad called him to come back. Otherwise, who knows how far he'd have chased it and probably drowned. Now it's been at least 3 hours since we saw any sign of his mother, until we head back up to the lobby. She's there by the concierge, screaming at us that she called the police. Knowing how crazy this was, my dad called them as well. They arrive rather quickly and we all tell our story. All the while Jason's mother is shouting, "You're just trash," at us repeatedly. I don't recall Jason saying much of anything. Eventually the situation dies down, and we go back to our rooms, placing a desk in front of the door. Fortunately, we don't run into them on the way back. So, I hope Jason is doing okay at this point, and Jason's mom. Let's not meet. My 17-year-old cousin and I got stranded with the Yakuza while she was on shrooms. A little bit of background information. I was about 19 years old at the time. I'm a half white, skinny little female, not intimidating at all. This takes place in Oahu, Hawaii, the Waikiki and surrounding area. So, I was living with my older cousin and his family at the time, in a small city about an hour bus ride from Waikiki. My cousin had a daughter, we'll call her Maria, who was 17 years old and, for a lack of a better phrase, extremely fucking hot. Her side of the family is Polynesian, and she has like this long, beautiful dark hair, a huge ass, and a tiny waist. She also has a wild child, but to her father's relief, a lesbian. Because of this, her parents didn't really keep a close eye on her. They all openly smoked pot and drank, so they didn't really care if she did, as long as she graduated high school. She can't get pregnant, so there's not much trouble she can get into, right? Fucking wrong. One Saturday night, Maria told her parents she was staying the night at her mutual friend of ours' house. I know our friend was out of town, so I knew she was lying. I didn't want to get her in trouble, so instead of busting her, I decided to just tag along and keep an eye on her. So we got ready, said goodbye to her parents, and walked to the bus stop. Where are we really going? We're meeting some crew at Wakes. I had no idea what that meant, but didn't want to look uncool, so I just went along with it. An hour later, we got off the bus near downtown Waikiki. I followed her to a strip of bars on the edge of the tourist section, the last stop before the pretty lights faded, and the buildings looked closer to Detroit than Hawaii. We stopped at a punk bar called Mercury. At first, I was confused, because we were underage, until I spotted a group of grimy-looking local teens congregating on a fire escape in an alley between Mercury and a dive bar. The teenagers got excited when they saw Maria. "We've been waiting for you, we got shrooms." A short-haired chick grabbed my niece into a hug, then shoved a baggie into her hand. Guess we got enough for this girl, too. "She's my auntie," Maria defended me. Before I could stop her, dumped a baggie of mushrooms into her mouth. Well, fuck. I wasn't really sure what to do, and these teenagers were kind of sketching me out. But Maria was going to be tripping soon, and I couldn't bring her home like that. She seemed to trust these kids, so I settled in, without laying my guard down, until I could figure out what to do. I hadn't been in Hawaii long, so I had no friends to call to bail us out and give us a place to crash. "It's early. She'll be fine by 2 or 3, a voice behind me on the fire escape said. I turned to see a Japanese guy in his late 20s, wearing a long-sleeved shirt despite the heat. I nodded, not knowing what to say. "I'm Jiro." "You Maria's auntie?" "Yeah, nice to meet ya. Sorry I'm being a drag, I hate babysitting people on their trip." He laughed and shook my hand. We talked amicably for an hour or so. Watching as Maria started to trip, she was making an ass of herself and getting a little physical with her friends, male and female. Soon enough, one of the guys took it too far and grabbed her ass. She didn't mind at first, but he kept getting more and more aggressive. His hand kept inching further and further up her skirt, and even in her intoxicated state she recognized it was unwanted attention and told him to back off. He didn't take it well. "You wear a skirt like that, you think you're not gonna get cherry?" He spat at her, still holding on to her thigh with one hand, a Four Loko in the other. I didn't really understand what he was saying, but I picked up on the tone and context. This wasn't good. I stood up to step in, but Jiro beat me to it. He jumped down the side of the fire escape, landed on his feet gracefully, and knocked the Four Loko out of the horny teenager's hand. "Oh, you like throw." The teen stood ready to fight. Jiro had his back to me, so when he lifted his shirt to expose his stomach, I was really confused. The teenager, on the other hand, understood immediately, and the color left his face, along with the hormonal bravado. He looked terrified. Maria, really tripping now, scrambled away from the teen and ran to my side. I hugged her, glad she was okay. "Let's go." Jiro waited for us to follow him, and, not knowing what else to do, we obliged, leaving the group of teens gaping at us as we walked away. We walked in silence for about 15 minutes, until we reached a dingy, small apartment complex. Jiro turned to me and asked if we'd like to come up to his place, since it was so late. That way I wasn't stuck walking around Waikiki at midnight with a trippin' 17-year-old in a miniskirt. Seeing as he still had just staved our asses, I didn't see an alternative. I said yes, and we followed him up. Inside the apartment was no better than the outside. It was a studio with no furniture save for a futon on the floor and a kitchen table with 2 chairs. The walls were bare and yellowed from cigarette smoke. There was one door leading to a tiny bathroom. Maria was starting to feel nauseous, so I laid her on the futon and took a seat at the kitchen table next to Jiro. We talked idly for a half hour or so, just small talk. Then suddenly, Jiro took off his long-sleeved shirt, revealing the wife beater underneath and the tattoos. His entire torso and both arms were covered in an intricate weaving of dragons and Japanese writing. Remembering the horny teenager's reaction when Jiro showed him his stomach, my blood ran cold. This dude was gangster, a Japanese gangster, fucking Yakuza. I'd seen tattoos like that before and it was no joke. Fuck. I tried to mask my surprise, but he picked up on it and smirked, devilishly. Clearly amused at my discomfort, I was frantically trying to plot an inconspicuous exit strategy, but coming up short. Did I want to face Maria's dad wrath, or stay here with a Yakuza I'd known for all of 3 hours who seemed nice, if a bit distant? If what happened next hadn't happened, I don't know what I would have done, honestly. Suddenly Jiro's phone started ringing, and he walked into the bathroom before answering. I could hear him speaking Japanese angrily, seemingly arguing with whoever was on the phone. He then stormed out of the bathroom, walked over to the futon, grabbed a box from underneath it and opened it. The shoebox was filled with stacks of 20s and a large bags of meth. He rifled through the bag angrily, seemingly looking for something and not finding it. Maria, who had earlier dozed off, was awake and watching him, wide-eyed and panicky. She started to get off the futon, and Jiro snapped at her, telling her to stay put. She froze. I think we should go. She seems okay now. We should go before the last bus runs. I lied quickly, knowing the buses had stopped running hours ago. I had money for cab fare. You're not going anywhere. My shit is missing. You were here the whole time. When will we have time to take your shit? He looked annoyed. Then like he was thinking. Empty your purses and pockets. We obliged. Take off your bra and show me you're not hiding anything. We did this as well, reluctantly. Maria was crying now. I tried to stay calm. Can we go now? Get the fuck out of my sight. We booked it out of his apartment without looking back. As soon as we got outside, I called us a cab. We rode home to silence, knowing we had dodged a bullet. I'd like to say Maria calmed down after this, but that's not true. She's in her 20s now and just as wild. But as far as I know, she stayed away from shrooms and Yakuza since that night.